JD Vance, our vice president, is well, I say is, but he did sit in for Charlie Kirk's podcast show. Now, this was interesting to me when I saw that he announced it. I don't know if it was on I don't know if it was on, I think it was his Instagram that posted it. And when I saw it, I was like, there's no way. There's no way. Right? Like, to me, again, you guys can get in the comments and let me know what you think. But to me, I just feel like a vice president has better things to do. Sue me, please. I just feel like the vice president of a country has better things to do than to host a podcast episode. I hope one day I get that big, you know what I mean? That the vice president will come and sit and host my show. I do, honestly and truly. And that also goes to my point about them using him as the face. If you keep that idea in your mind, a lot of what I'm going to say this episode makes sense if you keep in your mind that they are using him as the face of whatever agenda they have planned. So he did this podcast episode. It was from the White House. I think he said it was in his office. And I did take some notes, so I'm just going to kind of run through my notes. I will be honest, I did not watch. I do believe it was 2 hours. I did not watch all 2 hours. And I didn't watch all two. I think I got maybe about 30 or so minutes in. And then I realized, oh, okay, so you're just going to sit down with a bunch of people from outside the White House. Not like, to me, I don't know if he ever got to like his real life friends or anything like that, because again, I did not watch all 2 hours, but it just seemed like, again, they were going to sit down with people from the White House and talk about how their message and agenda is somehow intertwined with what Charlie was about, you know? And and then I feel like everyone was like rushed through their talking points. It was not something that I was going to sit through and pretend to enjoy, As much as I want to get the research for you guys, it's just some things like, it's just some BS that I'm not going to like put myself through. Like, I'm just not, you know what I mean? It's kind of like when you're watching a bad movie. You're watching it, and you're like, oh yeah, no, this isn't going to get better. So I'm going to turn it off. It's just not going to get better. If I go to a movie theater and I pay for a movie, if I'm watching it and it's bad, I'm not going to walk out. To be honest, I'm going to go to sleep. I go to a very nice movie theater, y'all. They give food, they give drinks, they got the reclining seats. Sometimes I bring a blanket. We all know movie theaters can get cold, so sometimes I bring a blanket. And if it's bad, I'm just going to take me a quick little cat nap. And then I'll wake up and I'll see where we are in the movie. And I'll just finish it, But to just sit through it, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I feel like we're getting to a point where like we family, and I'll be honest with y'all, I'm not going to do that. So in watching all about 30 minutes, off the bat, I felt like he was reading off a teleprompter, which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing if your typical day-to-day job is to speak into the ether, right? It's just to speak to people that aren't there until you post it. I wish, okay, that I could, have me a teleprompter. Maybe one day, okay? But y'all know I always have my notes. I have my pens. I have things highlighted. I read things. I talk to you, right? Like, I get it if that's what you do. But from that comment from Local The Stream, I believe his handle was, where he said that JD Vance were friends and they go back years. To me, if my friend who I go back years with just died and I'm introducing something, I'm telling you right now, I would not need a teleprompter. I might need like key points because I'll get emotional and I might start rambling. So I need something to like keep me in line, like some bullet points or something. But word for word teleprompter, no. Because what it does is it gives no real emotion at all. At all. It felt so stale and stiff to me that I was like, is he talking about someone he knows, or is he reading the inside of a book cover? Like, the little like what is that called? The little like flip jacket or whatever. Like, is that what he's reading? Like, it just felt so disingenuous, and there was no connection there for me. That's what I thought off the bat. Then around the 9 minute and 38-second mark, because I did take notes on the times just in case if you want to run it back to say I missed something, he's describing Charlie and he goes, basically Charlie was a lion and a visionary of our movement. Ding, 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 ding. See, as a quote I heard somewhere, I'm going to paraphrase, if you let people talk long enough, they will begin to tell you the truth. If you let people continually just ramble on, they will begin to tell you the truth. So he's going on and on and on. We're about almost 10 minutes in, and he says, lion and visionary of our movement. And I thought, well, damn, at least it's honest. At least it's honest. But it further solidified what I was thinking the whole time. He's the face of now your movement, and you want to intertwine the two, and it becomes y'all's movement, right? All of y'all out there who are fans of Charlie, we believe the same thing too. And here's how. And it became a bridging of the two. And I don't know, I don't love that. But anyways, so JD Vance goes on to say he flew out to Utah to meet Erica, Charlie's wife, and Charlie's mother. Again, it kind of felt like, and I could just be reading too into this, but it kind of felt like he was saying this was the first time he met Erica. Now, maybe it was the first time you met his mother, but it did sound like it was the first time he met Erica. And I was like, if that's your friend, why is this your first time meeting his wife? I don't know. That's what the phrasing of the sentence sounded like. Again, I could totally be off base on that, but that's how it sounded as he was speaking. It also could be because he's reading this teleprompter and there's just no emotion in his words. So it just felt a little like detached from what people are claiming is such a close relationship, right? And he keeps going on. He describes Charlie as a husband and a father. And he said, in knowing Charlie and in Charlie's passing, this has now taught him how to be a better husband and father. Again, really weird, because if you've known Charlie for years, if you've known him for years, if this is your very dear friend, why in the world would his death be the thing to make you say, I should be a better husband and father? I would assume that me knowing my friend for years and seeing how great he is as a husband and father, that would have long been something that was inspirational to me. It wouldn't be his death that now it's inspirational to me, and now I want to be a better husband and father. I would assume you would have wanted that way before his passing. But okay. And, he goes on to say that as we listen to this podcast for the next 2 hours, they're going to talk with senior officials from the White House in order to honor his legacy against this left-wing extremism. Again, where in this is there a left-wing extremism? This whole intentional, forcing a divide is getting old. I will be honest. It is getting old. At this point, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel as though a lot of Americans, okay, are at the point of we know both sides are playing a game, okay? Both sides are playing a game and we're tired of both sides, right? Like we're kind of getting to a point where we're somewhere in the middle of understanding what's going on and understanding that on each side we're going to be lied to and yada, yada, yada. So, in this particular instance, where do you get this left wing extremism from? Where? Like, I completely missed it. And I feel as though, again, not to go off onto a conspiracy, I feel as though they say these things to trigger people to keep that divide there. I said the same thing. I believe it might have been last episode or the episode before about Trump and just always throwing out these words to rage bait people and to get them upset and to get them riled up, to be mad at something that's really not there, nor is it happening. Like, just a little side note, because I really want to get into this, okay? What I found is that people who are usually, they want to claim they're a part of Make America Great Again, they're big Trump supporters, they're big Trumpers, and things like that, they're usually a little agitated, right? They come across a little bit agitated. And when I see that, I'm always confused because I'm like, why why are you agitated? Like, you don't do nothing to these people, you don't say nothing to these people, but there's always a slight bit of agitation. And I get it also from the left too, where like if you're extremely left, right? There's always this slight bit of agitation. And it confuses me because it's like I don't know if you think people are just out and about in their daily lives running up to people and like berating them, but it's not happening. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not happening. So you can walk around with your Make America Great Again full gear. You can have your Trump flag big as hell in your yard. You can